Good morning all. So in this session of 4 series, we are in the third one. So see, today is March 7th. So another week is there. So another week is there for mains this year. So what I have done is that I have taken these most important topics from this paper 1 today. So tomorrow we will be discussing this paper 2 most important topics. But essentially the intention here is that see, when we were preparing, so there was no proper guidance. So at least now, if at all a candidate is writing the mains, he should be knowing like what is the past trend, like how the questions have come. So depending on like 10-15 years trend, so I have given this most important topics, and the document link for this PDF, that is for this most important topic, you will find that in the description for this description of this video in the YouTube itself. So you can download that PDF itself. So here in the class, what I will be doing is that in this session, so I will be explaining about a concept in very brief, because time is of essence here. So I would give you this, what are the subtopics or sub-themes you should be knowing within this topic. Plus I will be explaining very briefly. So kind of it is like brainstorming. So especially if at all a candidate has done one reading and one revision, and those candidates who are appearing for the mains this year, for them it will be like a sort of recall initiative. So quickly you can revise the things with me itself, so that will be easy for you, right? So with this, so yeah, so this, as I told you like last class also, like from September 15 we'll be starting this optional classes. So offline will be in Bangalore, so online everybody can get the access anywhere, right? So that will be there, plus for 5% off is there till this 12th of September, and this is my Telegram ID. So if you are not able to find this that document in this video description, or else if you have any in general query also, you can reach me in this Telegram ID, right? Okay, as I told you, today the major objective of our session is to discuss major topics which could be appearing from paper 1. Right. So before we dwell into each individual subject and then discuss this major topics and all, let me give you brief introduction about this paper 1 as such. See, in paper 1, the most important topics, in the first class also I told you, it is agronomy, soil science and soil water conservation. So combining these three together, so when I say agronomy, this also includes weed management. So combining these three together, it is more than 200 marks worth subjects. In other words, if you take total paper which is worth 400, considering this options also, that is totally 8 questions would be there, you have to answer 5. So considering that, so 400 marks will be there. So within that, more than 50%, that is more than 200 marks is just from these 3 subjects. So the 1 week is there as of now, and 1 week will be there between this GS and your optional. So during that time, what you have to do is that, so whatever this small topics which I have given from this paper 1 and paper 2, so do lot of this brainstorming. Are you getting? So do brainstorming rather than writing. So that is to say, for example, let's say precision agriculture or else conservation agriculture is a topic, very important topic. Now you have to close your eyes and try to memorize the things. Okay, conservation agriculture, what is the definition? Okay, what is the principle? So what are the practices we are going to follow it? So what is the need of this conservation agriculture? Then what are the technologies, or else what are the new emerging trends in this conservation agriculture? Then you can think of a conclusion. If you are doing this, and if at all the same question is appearing in the examination, then it will be very easy for you to complete the paper within the time limit. If not, you have to start thinking about the question in the examination hall and then frame the structure and then go for presentation of the answer. That would be taking much time. So better is do this brainstorming. Clear? Okay. So first important subject which we have in paper 1 is ecology and agriculture. See, if you ask me, this is one of the easiest subject to score marks. So okay, it is one of the easiest subject to score marks, because see, it is also having interlinkages with this GS3 environment portion, right? So here, as I told you yesterday also, if you have little bit idea about a particular basic concept, let's say for example, if you know what is ecology, then apply that for agriculture, then you will be getting this content. So that is much better way rather than by-hearting the things here. So depending on the past year's trends, these are the topics I have taken. So that is one is carbon sequestration. See, this has been like one of the major demand of UPSC. So here, like first I will explain you what is this carbon sequestration, what is its importance in agriculture and all. But essentially I will also be telling you like what are the sub dimensions you can think of under this carbon sequestration. And those people who will be like aspiring for next year attempt, what they can do is that what are the sub dimensions I am telling you. So go back and do notes for those things. And those people who are giving like mains this year, at least once you check in this Google and make sure that the basics of those concepts is clear to you, right? So one is carbon sequestration. So many years this question has appeared, and like last few years this question has been like dormant. So there is high chances that this is going to be asked this year. So considering that, see, if you take like India's commitments in this global market, especially indices, nationally determined goals, nationally determined contributions, and also you would have heard about something called as Panchamrit targets, which our government has announced. So their net neutrality by 2070, and then like increasing the green cover, etc. All those things is very demanding for Indian conditions to achieve them. So, and also you know that more than 50% of the population is still dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. If at all you want to bring like some positive changes in context of like ecology I am speaking, if you have to bring that, obviously one of the major thing which the government has to work on is agriculture. Because if you bring like positive changes in agriculture, definitely the ecology will be sustainable, correct? So considering that, this topic is important, carbon sequestration. Next one is agroecology and reducing productivity. See, for example, if you take like ecology, so ecology is basically what? So biotic and abiotic components will be there, the interactions will happen. But here in agroecology, what has happened is that because of human interference, the system has become more complex. So though like if you take the natural ecosystem or as like natural ecology, the system is much more complex there. Here because the humans are intervening, so the complexity of the system is much worse, right? And also because of utilization of this artificial inputs, that is synthetic inputs, the system's productivity has been reducing. And in many cases it has been stagnant. So what are the reasons for that and how we can promote this productivity? So that would be one of the important topic. Next one is remote sensing and GIS. So last 2-3 years this question has not appeared. So this year definitely there is high chances that this question is going to come, right? Next one is factors affecting crop distribution. So if you are well with this syllabus portion, so there is this topic, physical, social and environmental factors responsible for crop distribution. So that is going to be one of the important topic for this year mains, right? Now what I would be doing is that, see, all these 4 topics will be there. So for this subject, that is for ecology, I'll be taking like all these 4 topics and I'll be explaining you in a concise form, but essentially I'll be giving you this basic idea, like what you have to understand from this syllabus. Right? After that, we'll be moving for another subject where what I'll be doing is that I'll be explaining this. Let's say 6 or 7 topics would be there. Rohan, yeah. So 6 or 7 topics would be there. So there I would be taking 2 or 3 important topics. Then I'll be discussing that, and then I'll be moving forward. Clear? Okay. So first we will take this carbon sequestration. Right. So what is the meaning of this carbon sequestration? See, for examination point of view, first I will let you know what are the important topics under this carbon sequestration. Okay. Carbon sequestration. See, not just from like optional point of view, even from GS3, this year this is going to be one of the important topic. Not just that, even in prelims, this is going to be important topic. So basically carbon sequestration, what are the dimensions you should be knowing is, first thing, definition, meaning. Next one is different types are there, types of carbon sequestration, right? And relevance in agriculture. Now yesterday also I told you, if you remember, agriculture greenhouse gas contribution, it is like 10 to 11% of global emissions. That is to say, it is one of the significant contributor to these greenhouse gases. So that's why you should be knowing what is the relevance of this carbon sequestration techniques in agriculture. Now when I say relevance, what you have to do is that, one, reasons or else causes for carbon emissions from agriculture, right? So this is one important dimension. Next one, ways to reduce carbon emission or ways to increase carbon sequestration in agriculture, right? So these two dimensions, a little bit more specific version of this point could be like this. Explain role of cropping pattern in increasing carbon sequestration, one aspect. Now let's say this is a cropping pattern is what basically agronomy. So they can also ask like this, explain role of agroforestry in increasing carbon sequestration. Now this is forestry plus ecology. So this is the interlinkages they will be doing, right? Then explain role of crop diversification in carbon sequestration. Again, this is one of the possible areas, right? So these are the possibilities like in which the questions could come. So in the current discussion, what I would be doing is that I will be giving you brief concept about this carbon sequestration and why that is important from like agriculture point of view, and and then I will be explaining you these types, and this is like relevance in agriculture. So what are the ways in which we can increase this carbon sequestration, right? So first one, see, sequestering means it is the process through which we are going to capture this carbon which is present in the atmosphere, then we are going to store that in the soil or any other media. It could be like change in the form. Let's say for example, if you are taking this carbon from this atmosphere, you can store that in either in solid form, liquid form, or else gaseous form. So depending on that, we have different types, but essentially it is the process of capturing this carbon from the atmosphere and storing that in a particular place. So that is this meaning of carbon sequestration. And there is this terminology called as like CSS, that is carbon storage and sequestering technologies. That itself is like very emerging technology, and that is very important for your both GS and agriculture optional. So that is the definition we can understand. So just now I told you like 10% or 11% of this global greenhouse gas emissions, it is happening from agriculture itself, right? So that is one. Next one, this terminology itself could be a potential 10 markers question. So carbon farming or else regenerative agriculture. So both are in the context of carbon sequestration only. So in this carbon farming or else like regenerative agriculture, what we are trying to do is that we are doing such sort of like land management practices so that the less carbons will be emitted into the atmosphere. Yesterday only I told you this concept of, what is that term? Conservation tillage, minimum tillage. Yes, have you heard this on conservation tillage? So what is conservation tillage? Okay, forget about it. What is tillage basically? We are doing manipulation of the soil. We are disturbing the soil. And we know that soil is both source and sink of the carbon. It can store, it can emit also. Now if you are disturbing the soil via tillage, what will happen? Carbon will emit more. If you are reducing the number of tillages, then obviously the emissions will be reduced, correct? So that those sort of techniques are under this carbon farming or else this regenerative agriculture. Are you getting? One example I gave you is land preparation. Let's say for example, choice of crops. You know this rice. So rice requires 3000 to 5000 liters of water just to produce 1 kg of rice. So that is to say that much water means that much you have to pump it from the underground. So electricity consumption, correct? And also like water when it is like, let's say moving on this soil surface, it will be washing away the fertile soil. That will also be like loss of carbon only. So considering all those things, like carbon conserving technologies are called as this carbon farming or else regenerative agriculture. And again, this is also one of the potential question. It itself could be a 10 markers or a 15 marker question, right? So types. So depending on what type of like technology or else like what type of innovation you are following. So we have these three main types. One is like biological carbon sequestration. Yeah, we want to utilize like live plants, live animals, etc. to do this carbon sequestration. Let's say for example, when I gave you that examples, that is role of this cropping pattern in carbon sequestration. So there basically you are utilizing these plants to sequester the carbon. How this plant is going to sequester the carbon? How can you give an example? You got the idea, right? What is carbon sequestration? Basically, whatever the carbon it is there in the atmosphere, we are going to like put that into the soil, correct? Now, like how plant can do that?
Plant will absorb the carbon dioxide.
For?
That's how sinking takes place.
Correct. For what purpose it is going to take this carbon dioxide? Photosynthesis. Yeah, good. So there again you have to remember this concept. You know this C3 and C4 plants is there, correct? So among these two, which is the efficient one? It is C4 plants. See, C3 can be said efficient because it is going to spend less energy. But in the context of like utilization of the carbon from the atmosphere, C4 is better. Why? You know, C4 means what? Basically 4 carbon atom, correct? Now when this 4 carbons is taken from the atmosphere to produce this one molecule of starch, basically photosynthesis. That is to say 4 atoms is taken here, but in C3 only 3 atoms is taken. So that is to say in the context of climate change or else in the context of global warming, so C4 would be beneficial for us to incorporate in the cropping system. Are you getting? So those sort of technologies is called as biological carbon sequestration. Next, geological this thing. So here what we are doing is that, see, we are sucking this carbon from the atmosphere with machines. Then we are pumping that deep into the soil. For example, you know this coal mines. So once this coal mine is exhausted, that is potential reserve for this carbon. So that's why whatever the carbon we are going to capture from this atmosphere, so that will be pumped into that coal beds. So that sort of thing is called as geological carbon sequestration. Next one is technological. We have many technologies, not just one. We have so many technologies utilizing a proper mechanical measure to capture this carbon from the atmosphere, then storing it. It is called as technological carbon sequestration. So again, there are n number of types, but this is like basic understanding of it, right? And also if you can see here why it is relevant in agriculture means, see, first thing we are putting this fertilizer, that is also adding of carbon, correct? And then within the soil the respiration will happen. And if you are doing this rice cultivation, anaerobic condition will be there. And then again in the in the soil itself we have this carbon cycle. So that is also contributing towards this carbon emission. We have this animal livestock, we have this fire, correct? We have like stubble burning. So that is to say, so much of this carbon, it is either utilized or else either it is exhausted or else, either it is emitted to the atmosphere. So considering this thing, so it is of logical significance that we have to conserve this emission of carbon from the agriculture system. So question could be like this: what is carbon sequestration? Explain the ways in which agriculture helps in carbon sequestration, the holistic one. If they want to make it specific, then they will be asking like either agroforestry or else either like cropping pattern or else either like crop rotation or else crop diversification. So that is the specific one. So here I will tell you like overall, so in general how it is going to impact, right? One is, say for example, you can start, though I have given like 10-12 points here, so think like this. For example, when I say like soil disturbance or else like soil disturbance is going to emit this carbon, so first I can start from this tillage itself, correct? So conservation tillage or else like laser leveling. So all these things definitely it is going to reduce this carbon emissions. So start from there and think towards this post harvest management. So everything is important. See, so answers, why I am telling this especially at this juncture is that, so when you are going to write the answers, most of the like points you are going to write, it will be from production point of view. Okay, so what choice of crops would be there, etc., etc. But you will forget about this post harvest and marketing. See, in post harvest technology, you are going to add a lot of like chemicals, for example ethylene, for example this growth promoters, that is also basically carbon only. Then you are adding that to the biological system when somebody is going to consume. So concept called as biomagnification is there. Yes, so those are the important points here. So what you have to ensure is that from marketing also, let's say for example this in transportation, cold storages, that is also going to emit this carbon into the atmosphere. So bring that aspect also. It is not just about production, it is also about marketing and storage. So bring this holistic things. Right, though I have given like for example from production point of view here, so think from marketing and transportation point of view also. So like cover cropping, that is to say when field is barren, you have to go for like let's say green green manuring crops, for example sesbania, diancha. So those sort of crops can be grown. So that will be like reducing this carbon emissions, and also it will be capturing, correct? And then this conservation tillage, I told you, so agroforestry, then this modified forms like organic farming, natural farming, precision agriculture, all those things. Then crop rotation, grassland management, soil amendments. So that is to say, if you are going to maintain proper fertility in the soil, then there is no need for you to put this artificial fertilizers. So that is also important one. So then biochar, you would have heard. So biochar is like biological charcoal prepared from this live plants, so which will be having good water holding capacity. When you are going to add that to the soil, it increases the water holding capacity plus nutrient holding capacity. So these are like few of the things we can say for like how agriculture it is going to reduce this carbon emissions or is going to increase this carbon sequestration point of view, correct? Now, so other possibilities, just I told you, like what are the other possibilities on carbon sequestration, the questions can come, right? So one thing, as I told you, it is about crop diversification, and then this carbon sequestration, and then this cropping pattern carbon sequestration, or else in general intensive agriculture, monocropping, how it is contributing towards this carbon emissions, right? So these are the topics we can think of under this carbon sequestration, right? Okay. Next one, agroecology and reducing productivity. Okay. First we have to understand what is this ecology, correct? So in this ecology, the meaning is simple. So it is an interaction between living and non-living components, and those interactions, it will be producing this meaningful outcomes or else meaningful services for the mankind. So those are called as like ecological services, like functioning services is there, etc., etc. So that is the basic understanding of ecology. Now, so agroecology or else agriculture ecology, it is like man-made system. So it is not like a natural system here, it is a man-made system. So human interference is maximum here with respect to like what are the inputs we are going to give to the soil, what is the output we are expecting from the soil. So everything is being like manipulated by the man. So that's why this is a artificial ecosystem where human interference is done for utilization of the natural resources to the maximum extent for gaining the profit. So that is what we can understand for agroecology, correct? So same thing is given here. So if you compare to this natural system, this is much less complex, because in natural system it is not just like it is not just about humans, it is about like different biodiversity will be present. So in this agroecosystem, what is happening, it is mainly dominated by humans. So that's why the biodiversity level, it will be less in this agroecology. So that is again one of the major reason why there is reduction in the productivity, correct? Because yesterday, like if you have watched the video, I would have told you this, what is that, shifting cultivation, remember? I told you this concept called as ecological succession, right? So in this ecological succession, what will happen, once you clear this forest, you do this cultivation, and then if you leave the field fallow for certain years, then the soil will reclaim itself, the biodiversity will increase. In fact, biodiversity could be more when there is ecological succession. But here what is happening in agroecology, we are not giving any time, right? One crop after another, one crop after another, there is intensive utilization. So that's why there is a reduction in the productivity. So that is a basic understanding we can have. And agroecosystems are mainly of these 4 dimensions. One is for productivity, sustainability, stability and equitability. So this is the main core system of this agroecology. Now here other aspect, like how they can ask this question is that, say agroecology, one way of asking, or is ecological agriculture, that is one way of asking, or else let's say for example ecological farming, that is one way of asking, or else somewhere near to this concept is natural farming. So all these are the possibilities under just one concept called as agroecology, correct? Now another like let's say this thing, reducing this productivity I have given, so they can also ask about reducing this biodiversity, and also they can ask about like reducing the sustainability in the system, correct? So these are the alternative words they will be asking, but core argument would be same, correct? The definition part, and then this thing, what are the components or principles of this, then explaining the practices, clear? So this is agroecology, that is, it is a combination of social sciences, biological sciences, agriculture sciences, combined with traditional knowledge plus farmers' knowledge for the maximum utilization of this natural resources. That I can call it as like agroecology. Now, so these are the main principles here. See, if at all I say that it is in line with this ecological principles, then obviously there should be like sustainability, there should be like equilibrium. So same thing is here. So promoting this biodiversity in the ecosystem, that is one of the main core component. Agrobiodiversity should be promoted. Next one is this synergy, that is to say there should be this something called as mutualistic effect is there, have you heard? So that is to say allelopathy, in that what is happening, negative effect. So one plant it will inhibit the another. So in this mutualism or else in synergistic effect, what will happen is that one plant will promote the growth of another. So there will be combined growth, correct? symbiotic relation. So that sort of thing is called as synergy. And then recycling. So whatever the resources it is there in the field, that has to be recycled, correct? That is one. And interactions, it's like promoting like natural interactions between biotic and abiotic components. For example, if you take this, what is that, pollination. So pollination is very critical if you take crops like, for example, pulses, and also let's say for example oil seeds like sunflower, it is very important. But because of this artificial manipulation of this agroecology, these services have been reduced. So all those things are the major principles. So here in the, if what all the question is like this, what is agroecology? What are the threats facing this agroecology? Why there is reduction in the productivity of agroecology, suggest the solutions. If that is the case, then what you can do is that first give this definition. After that, you give these principles in brief. After that, you explain this, threats. So while you are explaining these threats, make it a point that you are categorizing them. See, major problem, especially as of now, if we are writing the mains, that is to say categorization of the points, structuring of the answer, and then presentation. So for that, let's say for example, when you are speaking of these threats or else reasons for reduction in the productivity, so rather than listing down like 10, 20 points, it is much better to categorize. Let's say for example, anthropogenic reasons, or else let's say for example, natural reasons. So under this, if we can give like 4 points also with adequate explanation and one example, that is more than enough. But students, what will they do is that, okay, this is for 15 or 20 markers, then I should be writing like 15 to 20 points. That approach or else like idea is fine, but the presentation is going to be bad. So that's why here not just the content, it is about presentation. Clear? Now. So can you give the reasons why there is less productivity? Yes, Rohan? Can you give the reasons why there is less productivity in agriculture ecosystem? So indiscriminate use of fertilizers, correct then? Monocropping. No pressure, easily answer. Whatever it is coming to your mind. Okay. So I will give you a clue. Now it is being difficult to generate the points, though you have the knowledge, it is getting difficult for you to say the things, right? Now I will say you this headings. Now you yourself can say the answer. Let's say for example, when I say there are reasons for this less productivity, can I say climatological reasons? That is also one of the reasons. Now can I say what are the climatological reasons? See, for example, droughts, yes, poor monsoon, correct? Then let's say for example, heat waves, climate change, global warming, yes. So those are the aspects you can say for climatological reasons. Now let's say for example, technological reasons is also one of the reason, right? Utilization of intensive technologies, for example, tillages, intensive tillage, deep sowing, subsoil tillage, correct? And then let's say for example, this thing, GM technology, or else let's say for example, this thing, what is that? Fertilizers, like chemical fertilizers, traditional chemical fertilizers, rather than utilizing this, nano fertilizers, correct? So that is one example you can say, technological factors. Can I say this social factors? Social factors, that is from farmer's point of view. Yes? That is one, or else let's say for example, lack of this thing, what is that? Capital availability to adopt this better technologies. That is one. Poor extension services, I can say, correct? And then from this thing, what is that? Policy point of view. So from policy point of view, like subsidies, so which is promoting like excessive utilization, could be for power, could be for fertilizer, correct? So in this way, if you are thinking, then points will be coming. So that is what I wanted to highlight here. See, if you are going to like Google it down, you won't be getting like good points, or else you won't be getting the content. So better is? Correct. So better is like understand the concept. Okay, this is what it is. Then think, okay, so if at all the constraints are there, what are the different types of contents? So then you will be able to generate the points. Clear? So these are the this thing, what is that? Categorizations I have made. Look, climatological, just now I explained. So agronomical, it is main one. So starting from tillage, choice of crops, irrigation method, and then this post-harvest technologies, everything is contributing towards this productivity, lower productivity. Correct? So here for solutions, again you can do the same thing. Take the same headings and then do this like solutions. For example, climatological, can we go for this protected cultivation? So there it doesn't matter, correct? Or else let's say for example, growing crops according to the season. Because here what we are trying to do is that we are trying to have this year-round cultivation. So in that sense, what we are trying to do is that, let's say for example, we'll be increasing like fertilizer application, or else we'll be increasing this chemical application. Could be pesticide or herbicide, because it is in the off season. So that is also one of the solution we can give, like cultivating according to the season. So agronomical, adopting these technologies or else like modified forms. For example, SRI method, systematic rice intensification, DSR, direct seeded rice, and also like something called as systematic wheat intensification is also there, SWI. So today we will discuss that also. So all those things we can say under agronomical as solutions. For technological, again you can say that utilization of better technology like nanotechnology, nano urea, right? So in fact, like nano urea is the only nano fertilizer in India to be approved for commercial cultivation. It is developed by IFCO, so remember that, right? Then policy factors. So rather than giving this subsidy, we can make farmer independent. Let's say for example, better schemes is soil health card, or else let's say for example, PMKSY, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, those sort of Kisan credit, very good. So Kisan credit card. So those sort of things you can give under these solutions. Are you getting? So question would be like, what is agroecology, why there is less productivity, and what are the ways to increase the productivity? Yes. So these are the like topics you can think of. Definitely, yeah. Crop diversification definitely can give. Even mulching you can give. Fertilizers. Yes, definitely. Right. So what I am trying to give here is indicative. So this is what you can think of. Correct. So you are getting this, right? Everyone, online people also? Right. So next topic is remote sensing and GIS. Here first I will tell you like what is the mistake students are doing. So this is like one of the most repeated thing. Obviously everybody would have prepared, but while writing the answer, what is the mistake they are going to make is that they will combine this remote sensing and GIS together and they will write this utility or this applications. There it has to be separate. Because see, if you take this process of remote sensing and GIS, so this is okay. So this one is remote sensing and that one is GIS, or else this one is GIS. So in remote sensing, what is the understanding we have? So rather than coming in contact with the actual subject, without physical contact, we are trying to get the information about that particular thing. Correct? So that is called as remotely sensing it. So for this what we are doing, we have the satellites, we have the sensors, it will be emitting these radiations and reflection will be happening. So depending on that, we are going to get this data. Essentially only data is of no use, because there is trillions and trillions of data which is present in this world, but essentially it is not being processed. So for that, something called as this machine learning and data mining, so that is what it is coming as of now. But here remote sensing, it is just generating this data. So GIS, so that is Geographic Information System, that is the one which will be processing this data and it will be giving you meaningful results. Now let's say, I can give you one example. You know, if you want to know like health of the crop, so if you do this sensing, so it might give like, okay, this thing yellowing is there, or else let's say for example, this nutrient might be less here, or this moisture is less here. So that sort of data would be there, but recommendation won't be given there. So you have to apply this much quantity of like N fertilizer, you have to give this irrigation here. So that won't be given by this remote sensing. So that will be provided by this Geographic Information System. Basically whatever the data you have received from this remote sensing has to be fed to the softwares. This softwares, it will process this data and then it will be giving you this model recommendations. So depending on that, you can go for utilization. So in the answers, what I am trying to say is that, of course, you have to give this definition, obviously, of both the things, and then while explaining this utility, make sure that you are explaining it in a different way, correct? So what are those few examples I can give you? So this is for remote sensing, left side, and this is for this thing, GIS. So remote sensing, starting from this crop monitoring, okay, crop monitoring, pest and disease detection, soil mapping, land use planning, even like land surveying, precision agriculture, even for crop insurance, because in crop insurance one thing is you have to detect the damage, how much damage it has happened. For all those things we can say remote sensing is better. For GIS, so can you see here, I given like 2 examples of softwares here. So one was is GRASS. So GRASS is for Geographic Resource Analysis Support System. So here if you can like put this data of this particular landscape, it is going to do this landscape analysis. After that, it is going to do this remote sensing data analysis, and then it is going to give you this modeling. So what is the particular model you can adopt here? So that sort of like at least few software examples you should be knowing. See, for example, in 2015, there was this question where they had asked like explain GIS and RS and explain GIS in wheat and some other crop. Are you getting? When they ask like specific means, you have to take these softwares. So without that software, definitely your answer will be very, very general and you will be getting very average marks. Clear? So that's why at least know few of this open softwares itself is there. At least know these things, right? So apart from this site specific farming or site specific nutrient management, how much of the fertilizer should be adopted, or what is the micronutrient deficiency, what is that particular thing you have to give. So that sort of information will be here, right? So do this categorization or differentiation in the answers, then you will be getting specific marks. If not, you will be losing the marks. Clear? See, often students say that, sir, we may get somewhere around 240, 250, but getting that 300 would be tough. If you are like writing in generalistic way, definitely your answers will be fetching you average marks only. Believe me, you bring this sort of different specificity in the answer, definitely you will be getting that 290 plus. Here also I am not saying like 300 because see 300 plus it is dependent on many other factors. If you are really presented well, 290 is for sure. So 300 plus means should be having good luck first thing, because on the day of the examination your mood should be good. On the day of evaluation, evaluator mood should be good. Considering all those things, X factors are there. So getting 300 plus, it is sort of luck in any option for that matter. But if you are putting hard work, if you are having good content plus presentation, definitely 290 you can get it. Clear? So this is about remote sensing and GIS. Correct. And also like this aquifers visit. That is, where is this aquifer present? So if you are going for this thing, what is that? Putting this bore well. So you should be having that idea. Okay, where is this aquifer? And the aquifer should be continued. So it is not just in a pocket. If at all it is in a pocket, so whatever the quantity of water it is there, once you utilize that, then it will be barren. So because there should be running stream, there should be running aquifer. So all those information you can process in this. Clear? Okay. So this is about remote sensing and GIS. Next one, so factors affecting this crop distribution. So I told you like in the beginning only. So in the syllabus itself they have mentioned social and then environmental and then this biological factors affecting this crop distribution. So considering those things you can explain it. So here the content is not difficult. Here it is about like categorizing the points and presenting well. So I have given here for example plant factors like anti-nutrients or else like pollutant factors, soil factors, all these factors it is affecting in one way or another the crop distribution. For example, I can give you one example here. Let's say for example plant factors. If at all plant prefers to grow in this let's say temperate conditions, obviously it cannot be grown in other conditions. So that is going to affect the distribution of this plant, correct? And also let's say if at all it is like depending on specific type of soil, it gives like maximum productivity in specific type of soil, then growing in that specific type of soil is much better than growing in other type of soil. So consider this sort of like distributions. Here you may be wondering what is this social factors, right? So social factors are like this. For example, you know this diet pattern. Okay, let me tell you this thing. See, for example, during this green revolution, so what happened in green revolution? What happened? Hybrids, correct? Correct. In which crops? Rice and wheat. Okay. Then? Mechanization of agriculture. Inputs utilization is more. Correct. Irrigation or else fertilizers, etc. Okay. Now, important like drawback or else let's say limitation of this, you know, what is that? Green revolution is that it started to promote this only 2 types of crops. That is wheat and rice. Now what has happened, if you go back to your like grandparents and ask them, so what is that they were consuming? If you ask like in Karnataka, they will be saying like ragi based in the southern India. If you ask in the, in southern Karnataka, if you ask in northern Karnataka, they would be saying it is mostly of jowar. right? So if we ask in this thing, what is that, even Punjab, Haryana, so it was supposed to be like jowar only, right? So even maize was not native to India. So this was the earlier like cropping pattern and also like food pattern. Now because of green revolution, what happened, there is suddenly increase in the availability of rice and wheat. So, and it will be cheaper when compared to other things. So people started buying that more. Now chapati is a common diet for everyone. In other words, the wheat has included in our diet forcefully. Yes or no? So that is the problem we are having. So in other words, what I am trying to say is that in social factors, think of the social, diet pattern of the people, food choices, festivals, fairs. So all those things will be a matter of social factors, how it is impacting this crop distribution. Clear? Yes, everyone? Right. Right. So this is about like this thing, what is that, ecology and agriculture, right? So these are the four main topics we had discussed under ecology, and I can assure you that, see, in ecology as such, it is going to fetch you like in compulsory question, definitely one question or else two questions would be there. After that, 115 markers or else rarely 20 markers. So this is the value it will be giving. So somewhere around 40 marks it is coming from this subject. So in other words, so be prepared for like answering one or two compulsory questions. So that is for sure. Right, so that is about this thing. Next subject is agronomy. Yeah, agronomy. So here I have given like 6 main topics depending on this PYQs itself. So one is organic farming and precision agriculture. So IWM is like integrated weed management, not like watershed management. So it is weed management, critical period of this crop weed competition, alternative methods of this wheat cultivation. See, that's for the focus was on like this thing, rice, alternative method of rice cultivation. For example, last year, before that also this DSR and this aerobic rice was asked. Now see, actually there is this trend that UPSC is taking a few of the questions from this research articles. So depending on the research which I have done, so I believe that this year like systematic wheat intensification or as bed planting of wheat. So these two methods have been in the news. I believe that if a question on cereals is going to come, it might be on this wheat, because 21 there was the question on QPM, quality protein maize. So usually if we take in cereals, rice, wheat and maize, so these are the major cereals. And questions on this have been exhausted. So I believe that this year wheat would be the main topic, right? If not, they may ask about like millets. Have you given it? No. So, here it is there. So last year they asked like potential or as like importance of the millets. But this year I believe that either they may ask like one crop specific POP, or else they may ask like, though India is the largest producer, consumer of millets in the world, we are still 5th largest exporter. With respect to export, we are lagging behind. What are the reasons for that? Or else what are the reasons for like less production and productivity? So these sort of questions in the way like constraints and potential can be asked from millets, right? So next one is crop rotation. Say at least if you take like every year this thing question paper, one question on the fundamentals will be there. So fundamentals is like, for example, crop rotation, for example, tillage, for example, let's say this thing, intercultivation. So this sort of like one specific basic question will be there, and rest of the things will be like applied ones, right? So here I think like this year the crop rotation for sustainability and resilience. So see, the crop rotation could be there 100%. The second part what I am predicting is sustainability and climate resilience, but it could be for something else also. But essentially if you know the basic, you can write it for other topics also. So here I will be explaining you about this alternative methods of wheat cultivation 1, and then we'll be speaking for this thing, constraints of millets, right? So first one, so SWI, that is systematic wheat intensification. So for most people I guess this would be like new concept, but essentially it is like similar concept only. So first I will let you know like if at all this sort of question is asked in the examination, how to tackle it. See, obviously if I like teach it now, you'll be knowing and you can write the answer. But essentially if at all something of this is asked in the examination for which essentially you feel like you went prepared well. So for that what you can do is that, let's say you know this concept of systematic rice intensification, SRI, and if I say that systematic wheat intensification, and also we know that rice and wheat is usually grown in a cropping system, correct? Rice wheat cropping pattern itself is the major one. Now there is high probability that whatever you are doing in SRI could be done in SWI also. Correct? So that much logic you should be coming, and trusting that and writing the answer on the same principles, that would be good here. correct? In reality also actually it is same. So this SWI, it is actually based on the principles of SRI itself. You know the principles of SRI, or else what are the major practices in SRI? No? Okay. See, systematic rice intensification. We are trying to intensify the rice cultivation in a systematic way. So if you take this traditional cultivation, what is happening? You are taking this 30 days old seedlings, first transplant, sorry, this thing, what is it, nursery will be there, then you will take this 30 days old seedling, and then at least like 3 to 4 seedlings will be taken and it will be placed in one spot, and there is no uniform spacing, but usually it is very closely spaced. So because of this close spacing, obviously you cannot go for this manual weeding, you will be going for herbicide application and also artificial application of fertilizers, correct? So this is in the traditional one. So in this SRI, what is happening is that we are taking this, of course nursery will be there, but instead of like 30 days old seedlings, 12 to 15 days old seedlings will be taken here. And also only one seedling will be placed in one spot, that is one. And another important part is, okay, is it visible here? No. See, you know this square pattern in a grid way, right? So wait a second. A wooden plank will be there, which will be having this sort of bifurcations. So the spacing between each one, it will be uniform here, correct? So now in SRI method, or else even in SWI, what is happening? So one seedling will be placed in this interjunctions, where there is meeting of these points. Here there will be one seedling. So only one seedling will be spaced in this per spot. After that, see, of course, one is like younger seedling, one seedling per spot, and uniform spacing will be there between these two plants. When there is uniform spacing, you can go for manual weeding. So here, rather than go for like manual weeding, we are using one equipment. It is called as roto weeder. You would have seen, I guess, roto weeder. So it is basically like this. A small wheel will be there, which will be having like sharp blades here, and it will be having a metallic handle, and a person can be here and he will be moving this in the field. So while doing that, he will be removing the weeds. So that is one of the important advantage of SRI. Plus here, rather than going for puddling, we are going for irrigation. So no puddling will be there. And instead of like excessive utilization of fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, we are going for organic fertilizers, right? And these are the major things which is different from classical or traditional method of wheat cultivation to this SRI method. Here also actually it is the same principle for SWI. In this SWI, what is happening? Same thing, like younger seedlings will be taken and it will be transplanted, but here rather than just single seedlings, if you can watch here, it will be 1 or 2 seedlings per spot. But essentially same sort of like spacing, same sort of like weed management, everything will be followed here, right? So wide spacing, so 15 by 15 centimeters. Then intercultivation practice is possible because of that spacing. So weeding, we are going for that, and organic source of nutrition. So need-based irrigation, rather than puddling or else like rather than this flood irrigation, we are going for need-based irrigation. So same thing is true for SRI also. So that's why what I am trying to say is that when this sort of like question is coming in the examination, apply whatever the basic knowledge you have and write the answer. If at all it is a compulsory question. If not, don't worry about that. So whichever is the easier question, so move to that. Clear? So that is about this SWI, correct? Now we'll look at this thing. What is that? Bed planting of this wheat. So if you take this usual wheat cultivation, what is the major thing happening is that we are doing that on the like normal field. We are going for cultivation. We are going to prepare the seed bed. Then on that we are going for either like broadcasting or it's like drilling of the seed. So that will be done. So in this bed planting, you can see here the raised bed. So on this raised bed, the cultivation of wheat will happen. So what is the advantage? Now let's say, okay. Let's assume this to be the ground level, right? And this is the raised bed I have created. So by removing this excess soil which is there, now I have created this raised bed. Now if I grow the crops here, what is the advantage? Now let's say for example, if I put this fertilizer, even if I put like irrigation water, so this much land is there or this much soil is there through which this nutrient should pass, and after that it has to go through this soil layers. In other words, the leaching losses we say, and also the immobilization of the nutrients, that will be less. because in this layer of the soil, it will be acting as additional anchorage here. So that is the advantage of this bed planting of wheat. And in fact, for rice also, it is being in trials, that is raised seed bed cultivation of rice. But essentially, see, this is what a student should be doing, especially when he is writing the mains. Should be looking for this value addition. Okay, this much everybody is knowing. So what is the extra thing that is happening in this field? So if you keep that curiosity alive, then getting the 300 is not a difficult thing. Clear? When you have ambition for 300 marks, your effort also should be for 300. So your efforts will be like for 100 marks, and you will be expecting 300. That is never going to happen, right? Correct. Even water logging will be less, and also at the same time leaching losses will be less. Leaching is a major problem, and also like wheat is sensitive for water logging. Yes. Up to here it is clear. We'll move forward. That is SRI and SRI, SWI, and this SBM, right? SPW. Now, so integrated weed management. So if we can see here, I have taken this specific one, noxious weed. So noxious, obnoxious, problematic, parasitic. So these are the different types of weed. And believe me, weed management every year at least 2 questions or 3 questions will be there. And it is one of the easiest subject to score also. Because here there is nothing much for you to understand the things. It is just about knowing few basics and few examples. Then you will be getting the concept here. Now, so in this integrated weed management, or else let's say for example from weed management, apart from this IWM, what are the other things you should be knowing? I think I have given in this slide itself, that is this thing, crop weed competition. Because critical period of crop weed competition, that is very, very critical, because during this stage if you are going for weeding, then there will be maximum returns for that, correct? So that is critical period of weed competition. Then we have this herbicide resistance and selectivity, which has been asked in the last year. So this year there is less probability on that, but there is high probability on these bioherbicides, right? What are these bioherbicides? For example, nemicide, for example this bioagents, let's say for example zygogramma beetle for this parthenium. So this sort of at least 5 to 6 examples if you are knowing, then that would be easy. Because in any way, if at all biofertilizer or biological management is not asked, in weed management, that is in integrated weed management, you can use that as example in biological management, right? Mainly it is physical management, then mechanical, then chemical, and then biological. So here they could ask like this: what is IWM? Explain the principles of IWM. So that is for 10 markers. Or else let's say for example they can give one problematic weed. Let's say this one, Datura. Or else let's say for example this thing, field bind weed. So this sort of one weed they may be asking, and they may be asking IWM. So people who are thinking this sort of questions will not be asked. So last year that was the proof, because last year the question was on this rice weeds. So explain this both upland and lowland weeds of rice and their management. So either crop specific. So all that you should be knowing is at least know 10 major weed names. So the biology of them, where it is growing, whether it is semi-arid, dry, arid, or else of aquatic weed. And then one this thing, example of this biological management, example of chemical management, example of this mechanical management. When I say chemical management, it should be like this. At least you should be knowing the active ingredient, that much required. So usually students will say like this: sir, atrazine application or pendimethalin application, all those things are correct. But the problem is you won't write this, what is the quantity that should be applied. So that is very important. So write along with the quantity, right? So that is for integrated weed management. Clear? Okay. Yeah. So these are the topics I have discussed here, but essentially, for example, organic farming. See, under organic farming, what are the things you should be knowing? So first thing is, okay, let me write it down so that it will be easy for other people. Okay. Let's say organic farming and precision agriculture. Under this, what are the aspects you should be knowing? First thing is proper definition. See, usually when I ask like organic farming definition, students will say this, sir, not utilizing this chemical fertilizers, utilization of organic fertilizers. That is not the end of the definition. So refer for this FAO or else ICAR definition, which is much more comprehensive and specific. So one particular definition, then it is about potential of organic farming or else like precision agriculture, then practices, then you have to know this challenges, okay, here principles, challenges, solutions, then government policies. So these are the headings you should be covering under this organic farming and precision farming. So apart from that, what are the other things we have? Okay, critical period of crop weed competition, I just explained you. You know, at least for major this thing crops, usually it will be like 15 to 30 days. So that is the like critical period. So if at all there is a specific difference for some specific crop, do know that. So and also like what is the impact of like weeding in this and the maximum yield it will be returning into. So that one example you should be knowing. And crop rotation, the principles, it has been given in the Tamil Nadu notes itself. So that much would be enough for this crop rotation. I hope this thing is clear, right? Next we'll move for this soil science. Okay. In soil science, major thing is this soil health and biological properties. Soil health and biological properties. Okay. Right. First is soil health. See, soil health is like overall outcome of this soil properties itself, right? So for example, physical, chemical, biological. So all the properties, it will be turning into this condition called as soil health. So basically soil health is capacity for resilience or regeneration, right? So these days what is happening, because of excessive utilization of synthetic fertilizers or else because of natural factors like climate change, global warming, etc., the soil health is deteriorating. So here what you have to do is that what are the components or else what are the parts of this soil health. So that one definition, that is this, and then why there is reduction in capacity, in resilience of soil health. So this is one aspect you should be knowing under this. After that, you should be knowing what are the ways to increase soil resilience. See, under soil science, if you take, there are two particular aspects which are very important. One is the basics. From basics, I can say it is about this biological properties and physical properties. That is like, for example, soil structure, texture, what are the factors impacting that? So that is one. So second important one would be this thing, what is it? Problematic soils. Problematic soils. Because this aspect of problematic soils, like for example acidity, alkalinity, sodic, saline, have been asked like in the consistently from last 3-4 years. So this year I think rather than this they will be focusing on the soil health. Because if at all soil health is not good, then only I will be saying like it is acidic or else alkaline. So that's why they may be asking like this in a holistic way, what is soil health and what are the reasons why soil will be turning into problematic soil, and then they may ask a holistic question. Correct? So this is about soil health. Now what are the biological properties of soil? Biological properties. Yes, Rohan, what are the biological properties of soil? No idea. What are the biological properties of soil? See, for example, BOD, biological oxygen demand. For example, soil, flora, fauna. Here also it is about micro, flora or fauna and macro, flora or fauna. For example, earthworm, correct? So depending on this, we will be having like other associated properties. So here what I have to do is that, see what is the importance of this biological properties and why it is a better measure when compared to like other parameters. So this basics you should be knowing about soil biological and soil health as a concept. Next one is biofertilizers and nanofertilizers. Biofertilizers and nanofertilizers. So this biofertilizer is such topic, though it is like asked n number of times, it is having the potential of asking again and again. So under biofertilizer, first thing, main important thing is the definition, then classification. Under classification, you should be knowing specific examples. So without examples, it sounds very, very generalistic one. Next one is advantages, challenges for adoption, then ways to promote it. But my guess would be like this year under this thing, they can ask about VAM. VAM is, what is VAM? Vascular arbuscular mycorrhizae. It is important for phosphorus, yes or no? See, phosphorus, it is not that much mobile in the soil. So it has to be first converted into the available form. For that, this VAM, that is vascular arbuscular mycorrhizae, is important. So that is one of the important thing. Plus PUE, that is phosphorus use efficiency. What are the ways in which we can like increase this phosphorus use efficiency? So this is the potential area for this year mains. So that is what phosphorus use efficiency and VAM. Definitely that is one of the potential question. Next one is drainage or waterlogged soils. Waterlogged soils or drainage. See, first important thing you have to like understand here is of course definition. Then it is like reasons or causes why waterlogging will happen. So next one is important aspect is changes. That is from waterlogging, what are the changes we can observe from physical, chemical and biological properties of soil. So this is a potential question because this is exactly been given in the syllabus itself. If you remember, what is the syllabus? It is changes in the puddling soil, puddled soil. So that puddled soil is nothing but waterlogged soil only. Yes or no? Because in paddy we need this puddling condition or this waterlogged condition. There this chemical transformations and also like soil property transformations. That is important topic. And then next one obviously it is like solutions. Under this solution again the specific important topic is biodrainage. Biodrainage. That is utilization of plants for drainage purpose. See, for example, one of the example I can give here is, you know, eucalyptus. Eucalyptus. It is one of the like water intensive plant which take up like water from deeper layers of the soil. So that's why that is important for this biodrainage. If you go to these regions like, you know, Haryana, especially like Karnal, so you can literally see that salt like accumulation on the soil itself. So there usually you find this plant, that is eucalyptus, being planted in the borders of these bunds because it is going to like take up this groundwater table. So one of the reasons for this soil salinity is high water table. So because this is water intensive, it will be like lowering the water table. And also like if you take this thing, what is that? One of the characteristic for biodrainage plants is ET, that is evapotranspiration should be more. If at all it is more, it will be losing the water. To compensate that, it will be taking from the soil. Clear? Next one is, okay, biodrainage. So that is what I explained. So this year, I believe like among these 5, at least one question would be there, right? Next important topic, soil water conservation. Okay. First is this integrated watershed management. So these are the principles, but first let me explain you this concept of integrated watershed management. integrated watershed management. And again, this is also important for your GS3, right? So in 2019 there was this question, Neeranchal National Watershed Project, remember? Even if not, that is very important. So in GS3 also, just try to understand this concept. First thing is watershed. So what is watershed? What is watershed? Okay. See, basically it is a hydrogeological unit of land which collects and drains the water through a common outlet. See, it is pretty simple to visualize. Let's assume, okay, this mountainous areas, correct? And if at all, like cumulonimbus clouds is there and rain is falling here, obviously small streams will be formed here, correct? So in this concept of watershed management, what we are trying to say is that all the streams will be diverted towards one place and it will be collected in one common collection area, and through this only one common outlet will be there with through which it will be distributed to other places, correct? So that is like basic understanding of this watershed. Now we are not just saying that we are managing this watershed, we are saying that we are going for integrated watershed management, right? So integrated means we are going to integrate different practices here, correct? So here most important concept you should be knowing in integrated watershed management is principles. So mainly there are 4 major principles which are very important. So first one is, any idea? Soil water conservation. So under soil water conservation, like n number of measures, for example, check bunds, correct? For example, this thing, contour bunding, graded bunds. So these sort of things will be coming under soil water conservation. So second important principle is rainwater harvesting. So in the field conditions, how are we going to do this rainwater harvesting? In field condition, agriculture field? Very good. So that is form ponds, right? Small tanks. So these are the ones. So third important one is crop management. So in crop management, see, obviously we are doing this crop management in other ways also, but here what is the meaning is that it is holistic management considering ecosystem, right? And fourth major principle is capability based land utilization. Or else you would have heard about this in this way. Alternative land use plan. Remember? LUP. Yes? So that is what it is saying. So that is to say, depending on the capability, that is soil is categorized based on its capability. So depending on this capability, it will be classified and accordingly like, agriculture should be practiced. So these are the major principles under this. So here you have to explain these major principles and also the objectives, definition, and if at all it is for 10 markers, this much is enough. If at all it is for 15 markers, then you can go for this policies or else schemes. Right? For example, as I told you, like Neeranchal watershed project is there. For example, integrated watershed development program is there. For example, desert development program. Then, yeah, so these are the major programs we have for this watershed development. So in this way, I have to like explain it. Clear? Okay. So that is integrated watershed development program. But again, as I told you, either they could ask about this just as a concept, or else they may ask like integrated watershed management for rain-fed areas and for dryland agriculture. So there has to be a differentiation in this, because let's say if I am focusing in this rain-fed area, that is to say there is rainfall. There is good amount of rainfall, but the problem is there is no proper management when there is actual rainfall. So here what is the main focus? We should be gathering this rainfall, or else harvesting less rainfall, and when there is lean season, I should be utilizing that. So more focus would be on creation of farm ponds, more creation would be creation of this, trenches, ponds, small ponds, so that will be there. But if you take like dry land agriculture, where already the soil moisture itself is constrained. Now here what we'll be doing is that mainly from crop management. Okay, instead of like water intensive crops, you should be going for millets, or else you should be going for less water intensive crops like pulses, right? So that sort of like crop management would be there. And land based capability, usually agroforestry will be practiced. So these sort of things will be done in this dry land agriculture. Now let's say for example it is in irrigated agriculture. There water is not the problem. There it is about drainage, correct? So drainage will be focused. So that's why, so depending on the next part of the question, like integrated watershed development plus what is asked. So depending on that, you have to contextualize your content. But essentially this is the basic or the core of the concept. Utilizing this, you can generate the points. Clear? Now, next one is water conservation, mainly rainwater harvesting. And this rainwater harvesting, since it is also mentioned in the syllabus, it is one of the most repeated themes in this soil water conservation. So here what I have to understand is that what are the different types of rainwater harvesting is there, both at like field level, farmer level, and at industry level. So categorize into these three ways, and then list down the types, and then think of advantages and disadvantages. That is more than enough for this rainwater harvesting. And then this one is very important for this year. So soil erosion, it is one of the major constant theme. So here they will be asking like why it is happening, and explain either like agronomical measures just for 10 markers, or else if they want to make it for 15 markers, they will be asking you both agronomical and engineering methods. So in this agronomical method, starting from this land preparation, like bunding, contour plowing, so there you can start. And from this engineering methods, graded bunds, contour bunds, terracing, so that sort of like slope management practices that you have to give in this engineering methods, right? Next one, this is an important topic because again, if you like read the syllabus, so syllabus is saying like this, what is that term? Technology stabilization for rain-fed agriculture. So last year it was for dry land agriculture, that is contingency planning for like dry land agriculture, which was potential question for last year. So this year they will be asking about this thing, like technology stabilization for rain-fed agriculture. Much more specific is that what are the technologies needed, what are the constraints in their adoption, and how we can promote that thing, right? And also like for rain-fed agriculture, like understand this policy perspectives. Like for example, we have something called as NMSA, that is National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, which is essentially a part of NAPCC, that is National Action Plan on Climate Change. And these two topics, again it is important in first topic, that is ecology. Because in ecology, again we have a syllabus line called as National and International Initiatives for Combating Climate Change. So there NAPCC is there, right? Under that, one of the concept is NMSA, National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, under which we have this submission on rain-fed agriculture, under which we have again established this rain-fed development authority. So all these policy matters also should be known to you from this rain-fed agriculture point of view. Clear? Yes, yes, right. So this is about like soil water conservation, and this is the diagram I was showing to you. This is about principles of IWM, and again see this principles and this. Okay, principles is fine. At least this objectives of this IWM, it will be variable, because it depends on, as I told you, like the region where we are going to establish it, and also the purpose for which we are going to establish it. So that's why objective is not like uniform, but there is this a acronym called as POWER, power. So if you just Google it down, you will be getting this objectives. So that is good enough for this soil water conservation. Next one is forestry. And again, it is one of the easiest subject to score the marks, where the constant themes have been there for this, UPSC to ask the questions. So one of the important thing is this agroforestry. So that's for the agroforestry was asked in this context, like how agroforestry helpful in this carbon sequestration, what is the difference between agroforestry, social forestry, or else what are the types of agroforestry, explain those things. But this year I believe that agroforestry plus climate resilience, or else agroforestry plus climate change, how it can be combated. So that sort of question will be there this year, right? So for this, see, essentially you will get this content for agroforestry from either Tamil Nadu or else like Angro material. So that is good enough. But along with that, this climate resilient agriculture. So if you know, like now G20 is going on. So in this G20, actually there is a technical meet which is happening in this IIMR, that is Indian Institute of Millet Research. Where it is? Where it is located? It is in Hyderabad. It is in Hyderabad. So there actually a technical meeting is going on. So that major theme of the technical meeting is climate resilient agriculture itself. Are you getting? So that's why this year you can also expect a question on this climate resilient agriculture. See, climate resilient agriculture is pretty simple. It is not a like new concept in itself. So here whatever the climate sensitive practices is there, like for example conservation tillage, for example choice of crop. So all these things will be considered. Just go to this technical meeting which is being happening now. So you will get like some good content there. So get somewhere around like 7 to 8 points, that is good enough for your mains examination. So people who are writing mains, don't be greedy here. So like you don't need like pages together content. All that you can remember and you can like write in the examination with a limited space and limited time is hardly like 10 to 15 points. So try to get those quality points and then focus on presentation and like structuring of the answer, right? So next one is minor forest produce. So this is again one of the important theme. So here, so what is minor forest produce, that you have to understand. So first one is minor forest produce. It is defined under Forest Right Act. So under this Forest Right Act, the government has defined this minor forest produce. It is non-timber products, right? So non-timber products. If at all, see, often UPSC what it does is that, yesterday also I explained you, without any keyword they are going to give these words. So here if at all just they have mentioned like minor forest produce, what are the things you should be knowing? First thing is the definition, and also say this, it is defined in so and so act. After that, give examples of minor forest produce. For example, tendu leaves is there, correct? For example, honey, lac, all those things are like minor forest produce. After that, what you have to give is current status. For example, you know this Ministry of Tribal Affairs is there, which has recently announced this MSP for minor forest produce. So that also one of the important update which is there, current affair. So that's why this question could also be a potential for this year. So under this, plus that is one thing, that is MSP, plus you can also mention what is the potential of it. So potential of minor forest produce for upliftment of this tribal people. So there what you have to do is that, so socio-economic well-being and also like economic gains from this value-added products, export potential, all those topics will be under this minor forest produce. Next one is agroforestry, so potential constraints and scheme. So agroforestry plus social forestry, same thing, you have to understand this potential, constraints and definitely, that you can do that. So here it is like mainly potential. So when I say potential, you have to understand the difference. See, potential and significance are two different ones. So in potential, what I am trying to say is that, so let's say for example, okay, if you are attending our classes, that is to say you have a potential to clear this exam. So that classes is acting as one of the potential factor for you to clear the exam. So significance is that once you are in the service, so what is that good you are going to do for the society and also for yourself. So that is the significance. When the question is about potential, do make it a point that you are going to like write the potential but not the significance. Clear? So these are the major theme areas for forest. Next one is agri-economics. See, in question paper, you would have seen section A and section B, especially the questions on this soil water conservation, agriculture economics, extinction. So this will be appearing in the section B. So here in section B, this economics and extinction, it is a very important topic. First, let me tell you this, there is this slight variation in the trends in which this economics and extinction questions are coming, especially in the last 5 years. So every year constantly 1 or 2 questions on this this thing, policy oriented questions are coming. That is in general as a agriculture point of view. Let's say this thing, what is it, doubling farmers income. So what are the challenges, or else let's say for example what are the schemes, policies taken by the government for achieving this doubling farmers income, or else they may ask, they may also ask this year like this. So the target for achieving this doubling farmers income was 2022 and we haven't achieved it to the significant level. So what are the reasons for it? So how can we achieve this DFI? So that is one sort of thing. Next one is like explaining this KCC, Kisan Credit Card, or as let's say PMFBY, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. This sort of at least one policy oriented question it is coming here. So your focus should be like whichsoever is like important mission or is important scheme which is targeting this overall welfare of agriculture as such. That sort of one question could be appearing in this examination, right? Here the other main topics are farm planning in the context of changing agriculture. So that is to say, when I say changing agriculture means, you know, if you take like Indian agriculture scenario pre-1990, that is before LPG reforms, it was mainly for domestic market. We are not focusing on this, like export. But after this globalization, so essentially world has become a global market. Now we are focusing more on this export. So considering, see basically in farm planning what is there? So you know this basic laws or else principles which is there. For example, LDMU, that is law of diminishing marginal utility. So those 6 principles which are there, utilizing that, how can we like manage this changing agriculture scenario? So basically what are those laws which is addressing is that how to produce, how much to produce and where to market. So these are the basic questions it will be addressing. So for each of these things, take this principle and explain how that going to be a potential solution for changing agriculture, right? So that is one. Next important aspect, farm planning and resource optimization. So if I take this ecology, there is this concept called as sustainable natural resource management. And n number of times that question has come. Now they can integrate this farm planning with this resource optimization, right? Next one is farm budgeting and its types. That is to say partial budgeting, complete budgeting, and what is the procedure we are following in this budgeting, and advantages and disadvantages, right? And diversified farming. So here, especially if you take this economic syllabus, there is this line in the syllabus called as types of farming or as farming systems. So there we have like let's say for example crop diversification, that is diversified farming, or as let's say precision agriculture. There also it will be coming, right? Here the diversified farming, you should be thinking from economic perspective. So what is the gains it is going to give for the farmers, right? Next one is agriculture price policy. This is going to be very important topic this year. So under agriculture price policy, what are the major components we have? See again, this is essentially a very important part in GS3 agriculture portion, right? So in this agriculture price policy, mainly we have is 3 main components. One is MSP, PDS and buffer stock. So combining these 3 together, but especially main focus will be on MSP and FRP. So what are the parameters we have considered? That is cost of cultivation plus like international price situation plus profit to the farmers, all those like intercrop price parity. So those are the ones. And what is the formula it is being utilized? As of now it is A2 plus FL. So A2 is the total cost incurred by the farmer for purchase of the inputs, plus FL is unpaid family labor. So this calculation method for MSP. And there is another concept or it's like another formula called as C2, that is called as comprehensive cost. So now there is popular demand that CSEP, that is Commission on Agriculture Cost and Prices, it should be considering this C2 formula where even this interest foregone, it will be considered. So what is this interest foregone? Now let's say for example I have this 5 acres of land. On this 5 acres of land, I have like 2 acres covered under this storage facility. I have these tractors, I have this infrastructure. Now all these things I could have rented it to someone else. Because I am doing agriculture here, so I will be utilizing those infrastructure for myself. But the interest which could have been generated by this machinery or else by this infrastructure, it is not realized for me. Now that interest will also be considered under this A2 plus FL. So that is called as C2. But essentially what I am trying to say is that what are the like issues under this MSP or it's like agriculture price policy as such, starting from its inception. So all this started from like early 1950s. So starting from 1950s till now, what is the like status and what are the like what is that marketing infrastructure we have and what are the solutions we need. So all those things will be under this agriculture price policy. Next one is cooperative farming. Under these types of farming systems, we have this contract farming, cooperative farming, self-help groups, and then this NGOs, SHGs, FPOs, that is farmer producer organizations. So these are the important topics under those headings. Now here I have given this contract farming, cooperative farming and contract farming. Essentially these two would be important for this year, right? So up to here it is clear. See here, if I go on explaining each individual concept, essentially it takes like more than 30 classes just to explain these things. So rather, just I told you in the beginning itself, it is for brainstorming. It is like indicative. At least do like little bit work on these things. Definitely it will be like fetching you good marks here, right? Okay. Next one is agriculture extension. So under this agriculture extension, so main important thing of extension. So that is, it is helpful in this extension service delivery, right? So here first important thing is that DFI, doubling farmers' income. What is the role of this agriculture extension in achieving this DFI? See, why I am telling this particular aspect is that if we take our extension machinery which is present in India, it was created during this green revolution time. After that green revolution, neither this extension mechanisms or else evaluation of this extension programs, that has not been updated. Now there is high demand that these things should be according to this modern lines of agriculture. So that's why this role of agriculture extension in doubling farmers' income, that would be very much a potential question, right? Next one is that indigenous technology know-how. So this IT case which we say, so the production of this IT case, correct? And also like what are this IT case and what is the use of this IT case in spreading of extension services. That is one. Next one is this Sameti, that is State Agriculture Management Extension Training Institute. Then Atma, that is Agriculture Technology Management Agency. This sort of like extension agencies. See, one of the major thing everybody will be knowing is this KVK. And number of questions on this KVK has come. Now they will be focusing on other extension agencies. So one is Sameti and next one is Atma. So like do make short notes of these things and definitely a 10 markers question can come on this, right? Next one is role of this emerging technologies. For example, artificial intelligence. For example, let's say this thing ICT, information and communication technology. So something called as like BBT is there, that is broad-based extension technology. So that is a part of our syllabus also. So that has been asked like few times. But I think now they may be asking like, see, one of the like question which they asked in the previous year is that what is the new emerging technologies for dissemination of technology through extension. So now already they are focusing on this thing. So it is on us to understand that, okay, now they are focusing on like modern lines. So that is to say emerging technologies or as artificial intelligence and its role in agriculture as a whole or as their role in this extension. So that is one of the potential question we can expect here. So these are the like things from this agriculture extension. And last important slide, that is about this miscellaneous slide. So here what I have done is that I have taken like a few other topics in general which could be asked, right? First one, as I told you, like doubling farmers' income. So if at all it is a success, how it is a success, correct? To what extent it is a success? And if at all it is a failure, why, what are the limitation factors because of which it was a failure? And what could be done to achieve this doubling farmers' income? And also when I say like doubling farmers' income, what is the average income of Indian farmer? What is the average income of Indian farmer? It is 10,200 rupees. The recent survey, it is saying that it is 10,200 rupees per month. So that is the average income. So the government has anticipated that we had to double that within this 2022. So few of the agriculture experts, they said that to achieve that, so agriculture should be growing at an annual rate of 14%. So as of now, it is just 4%. We want to have like 14% growth, then we can achieve it. But essentially, now there is this conflict in this intellectual concepts. So people are saying that there need not be this doubling of the production to happen to achieve this doubling farmers' income. So farmers' income can be achieved without doubling this production. That is what they are saying. So essentially this sort of like analysis you have to bring in this answer. So don't just go with like what are the policy measures, etc. Give this first concept, like what is this doubling farmers' income? Why we have to achieve that? Then you can go for like what are the government initiatives had taken and why that is a failure and why that is a success, right? Okay. Next one is like in general reasons why there is low productivity in agriculture as such. What are the measures we can take for like evergreen revolution? So those sort of things. And last one is like schemes. For example, PM KSY, PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. So these are the potential, and PM the same Pranam. So these are the important programs for this year. You can anticipate a question. So then they will ask like individual program to be explained, or else they will ask like how PM KSY will be helpful for small and marginal farmers, or else how PM KSY will be a solution for water scarcity, right? So those sort of questions will be there. Clear? Yeah. So this is the last slide where I given like the strategies for this doubling farmers' income. Okay. Here, increase in the crop productivity. For that, what are the measures they had taken? Next one is livestock productivity, resource use efficiency, then increase in this cropping intensity, diversification, remunerative prices, and shift in the surplus. So these are the major focus areas. I have taken this from like government source itself. DFI, the report or the committee was, which is the committee which recommended DFI? Ashok Dadavai is from Karnataka, you should be knowing. So Ashok Dadavai committee which had recommended this DFI, in that document only they had given this strategy. So this is direct screenshot from that document itself. See, essentially that document, it is like 14 volume document. So 14 booklets are there. So reading everything would be difficult for you. So that's why this like in a summary form I have shown you. So you can think on these lines and you can generate the content. Clear? Okay. Online people, do you have any doubt? Okay. See, tomorrow also, like within like 1.5 hours or like in 2 hours, we'll be discussing about paper 2 important topics, most probable topics for this year means, and then we'll be concluding it. So as I told you, this was like 4 session series, so that will be completed tomorrow. So from 15th onwards in Bangalore, in offline mode, we'll be starting this optional classes, right? So it will be available in online mode also, you can take that. And also I had explained like 3 other programs are there. So whichsoever is interesting for you, you can definitely choose those things, right? If no doubts, then we'll be concluding this session, right? Okay, thank you all.